It's Daybreak with Brian Noonan and Jamie Martinson. Here are your hosts, Brian and Jamie.
6:06 right now. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us today on the Civic Media Network. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. You are always welcome to join the show, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. The good news, we're all here still. Civilizations have not been destroyed. The bad news, we're all still here because it.
But in 2 weeks, it could all change.
Everything is 2 weeks. This is it was Taco Tuesday once again, which is good news. We'll get into all of this and break it down later, but the fact that we're really no better off, and if you believe the experts, we're actually worse off than we were before this whole thing started. But that's winning. We're winning.
That's winning. And hey, people showed up at the polls yesterday.
Yeah, but in a very disappointing number.
It was a very disappointing number. However, I think when you look at what those numbers are in comparison, I mean, especially if you look at like Dane County, you know, one of the most prolific elections that we went through when we elected President Obama, at least that's what historians say. In Dane County, 282,000 people showed up yesterday to vote in the Wisconsin Supreme Court. 287,000 people showed up in Dane County. So when you look at it like that, it feels a little less disappointing, right? Because I think you have to keep it in comparison to where we actually are as far as who shows up at the polls. But we'll get into all of the election stuff this morning as well. But just know Chris Taylor is your new Supreme Court justice, expanding the majority to 5-2 with 60% of the vote coming in across the state of Wisconsin. And boy, oh boy, rural areas showed up. And, you know, the swings that we saw last night all through the state in some of those election numbers for the liberal justice is kind of mind-boggling. We're talking, in some cases, 20-point swings or more, even in some of the most rural areas. So a lot to get to this morning is kind of the point of all of this.
Yes, but the real news was yesterday was Parker's birthday. He had no idea what he wanted to do when he left. He was... everything was up in the air. Maybe he'd eat dinner. Maybe wouldn't. What would he have? Would it be just bone broth, or would there be substantial food? He really was
bread and water.
Apathetic about his birthday celebration. So what happened? What did you end up doing?
We ended up going to the Mad Seafood Boiler.
Ooh.
Yes.
The Mad Seafood Boiler.
Oh.
Yes. I had crab. My dad and I had crab. My mom had about a bite and a half of...
She had bread and water.
Less. She had about a bite and a half of a spring roll, said, I don't like this, and then ate her Cajun fries.
Oh, she's a cheap date at the seafood places.
I guess so.
Wow.
So, sorry about that, Mom.
Well, it's not her birthday. You wouldn't take her there on
her.
her birthday, but, you know,
yeah.
Sometimes you got to suck it up for somebody else's birthday.
That's right.
I will say, awful. I am awful at opening up crabs. Not
really
good. It's bad.
Did you use the little wooden hammer?
I used the little, not a euphemism. Tried to use a little, whatever it is, crusher thingy.
The cracker.
Yeah. And then they give you a little, well, like pitchfork
the
kind
tool,
of thing.
Yeah.
Had you not done it before, or you're just inept?
Yes.
Okay.
Had not done it probably since I was like 13, if I had a guess.
Okay.
So, yeah, it'd been a hot minute.
So yesterday you were like...
Yourself?
Oh, I was like... that. Let me tell you, that Cajun butter...
Parker had a bib on his 23rd birthday. That's what we're learning this morning.
I was going to, and I didn't tie the knot tight enough, so it fell off.
Did you like make a stand yesterday? You're like, you know what? I want crab legs, damn it. It's been too long.
I looked at my dad and I go, do you remember that place? And he's like, oh, yeah.
Ooh.
We're like, okay, let's do that.
As soon as you get an ooh from the dad, you know, it's all over. Moms, you know this. You know how that goes. Yeah,
yes.
I get that often too.
Yes.
But we'll suck it up for our kids, though. So your mom's a good sport.
Yes, it was good. I was happy.
And you're going to the Brewers game this weekend.
Yes, and I've got my brand new Christian Yelich jersey, my powder blue jersey. I'm very excited about that.
Wow.
Clearance.
Nice.
Clearance on Fanatics.
Nice.
$160 jersey for like $40.
Ooh.
Oh, that's the best kind of deal. Now, right there,
That's
Why
a
is
good
it so cheap?
deal.
It's misspelled. says you lick
No, I
on the
guess I
back.
should
Has a
double check what it
huge stain
says.
on it.
That was sent back.
I think it was on clearance because they're getting new City Connects this year. So they're like,
Got
Brewers is spelt
it was
wrong.
it was like a day long sale, I think, too.
One
So,
sleeve.
Wow.
yeah.
That's a tank top.
I'm a bit. That's excellent.
God.
I think
Ugh.
that's finding
You
those
don't
kind
wanna
of
see
deals
me in
is terrific.
Yeah. I always
That's
love a
the
good
best.
deal like that. You can't beat a deal like that. And then at the end of it, don't you feel good? Because you're like, you look at other people, you're like, oh, I know how much you spent. I know how much I spent. I got a way better deal out of this.
I look just as cool.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
would you be going back for crab soon? It's a lot of work for a little bit of meat. I love crab,
that's the
but it's now were these king crab legs or the little snow crab legs, which
They were snow
useless?
crab legs.
All
right. Okay.
They were
Those are-
snow.
yeah, Too
yes.
much
Oh,
work
so-
on a snow crab.
Yeah, and between my dad and I, we only got a pound.
That doesn't feel like enough.
No, we weren't
No.
sure because it had been so long since either of us had a crab. We weren't sure. So like, let's just do a pound and see.
There you go.
Looking back, probably could have done a pound and a half if I had to guess. That probably would have been best.
I
But
could have done two. Come on,
Yeah, I was
go
gonna say you
crazy.
could have gone 2.
Two.
I mean,
It's your
yeah,
birthday.
a lot- I would have got true. I would have got tired though if we got 2.
It just, yeah,
It's
it does take
lot
it
of
takes a
work.
long
Yeah, you
time.
need to get a
It's
little bit
lot of
better.
work.
Get bigger crabs.
I didn't get better throughout. I don't think.
Wow.
That's the thing.
All right.
See, Brian, maybe I am inept.
I was just I didn't say you were. I was asking if that could have been the problem.
It's possible.
It
It's
sounds
very
like
possible.
it sounds like it was. Partially.
Yeah, at least partially.
Did you get cake afterwards?
Yeah, we had a little left. Well,
We had
I don't.
Did he just say leftover cake? He
Leftover.
almost said
Leftover lamb
leftover
cake
Said
from
leftover
Easter.
cake.
We had leftover Easter cake because I don't remember if I said this on the show or not. On the night before Easter, one of my cousins has to have gluten-free stuff.
Oh yeah, they had
mom-
the extra cake.
Yeah, so my mom had to go and get a gluten-free cake, and my brother also brought the exact same gluten-free cake for my cousin. So one of them was
you got
left.
a dried up piece of
So you-
gluten-free cake?
yeah.
It wasn't dried
Wow.
up, and it was actually a pretty solid cake.
All right.
It was
Really?
a nice.
Gluten-free stuff is not bad,
Yeah,
right?
no, it was good chocolate cake.
I'm
it
all
was
for
pretty good.
gluten.
Yeah.
Believe me, I'm
Oh,
all for
gluten.
gluten too.
Parker,
Yeah.
I appreciate you being appreciative of this slice of cake, but I would have been pissed.
Yeah, you
I would
even
have
get your own-
rioted.
Didn't even get your own fresh cupcake.
Yeah.
Nothing. You got to eat leftover gluten-free cake when you're all about gluten.
Parker, do I need to bring you a belated birthday cupcake? I kind of feel bad for you right
No,
now.
it's good. I was happy.
Okay.
I was happy with it. It was good.
Parker,
like-
I think I'm
feel
just
like
going
I
to be
need to
your
get a
agent from
cupcake.
now on and just walk around and be like, look, listen here, my client here deserves fresh with gluten cake.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even want a whole cake, but at least Debbie got me a slice of the cake I like. It wasn't just some leftover rando cake from the
Okay.
clearance cooler.
we're talking like this is a cake that I didn't like. This was a good chocolate cake. I think it had some like whipped cream in there. It was
Gluten
good.
free.
Okay.
Gluten-free.
Gluten-free stuff is not bad. Some of
No,
it is. No, some of it is. Some of it
Frank,
is. Not all. It's not all created equal. Let me tell you. But
Frank, you know
Yeah.
what I'm never going to get used to? This overly happy Midwest nice thing that comes from Jamie and Parker. Everything's okay. When you know it, when you know it's not.
oh no, I would have rioted
know
if nobody
it's
got me
not.
my own cake.
Oh,
I'm
no.
just saying I can't have gluten, so I have to dabble in the gluten-free all the time. And not all gluten-free is created equal, but there is some gluten-free stuff that is actually worth the effort. So that's no. I would riot if nobody got me my own cake on my birthday. I'll be honest.
Wow. Okay. Well, I do know I am very Midwest nice. I am very go with it.
Yeah, but that's covering up something else. You're going to be on top of a tower one day. You're gonna
Jumping.
It's
Shouldn't
or
he be on a
shooting.
ledge
I
somewhere?
was thinking shooting. I don't think he's going to take himself out. He's going to take everybody else out.
That passive aggressiveness.
Yep.
So we hold it all in.
Everything is great. Everything's lovely. Oh, you're good. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Smile and wave, boys.
That's right.
Yep.
Smile
Smile
and
away.
That's right.
Then that glassy 1,000-yard stare starts, and it's like, oh, Parker's about over with Parker. This is going to be great.
I just go with the flow. Oh God, I am so complacent with life. During college, we had the 2 RAs on our floor were both girls, so none of them were aware of like guys' bathroom, like if something was wrong in there.
Okay.
And all of us were just complacent with how it was. And it was our freshman year. We didn't know better. We had one working shower of 4 showers.
And nobody said
Nobody
anything?
said anything.
Nobody
Wow.
said anything because, like, that's just how it is. It's fine.
That's okay. It's fine.
I'm
It's all
complacent with
good.
It's not
Please.
fine. Get a working shower.
It was fine.
With the amount of money you pay in tuition and
Yeah,
room
get a
and
working
board,
shower.
It was one good one that was incredibly cold.
Now,
and then
did you
2
all
that,
want to?
like,
Did you all enjoy showering together? Is that why it was not a big deal? Was it?
We huddled for warmth, yes.
Yes. Well,
Wow.
good. Everybody's got their thing.
Got to get by somehow, Brian.
Yeah, listen, I'm not here to put the kibosh on your fun, but don't try to
I know
paint it
you-
as it's all good.
You're always very encouraging, Brian, for my fun.
Listen, Parker, your life is your life. I'm surprised by a lot of it, but I don't. Doesn't
won't
mean
tell
I
you
want
how
to
to
stop
live
it
it.
or change it. Yeah.
We
You do
won't tell
you.
you how to live it. Speaking of living life, Frank, have you had young children at your house trying to sell you
Nope.
things in your new
Let me-
neighborhood?
You got a
Let
beef,
me-
Frank?
I've got beef.
All right.
I have many nieces and nephews, and I think they're all peddling something every month. Now, here's my issue. I have no problem with that. We were all kids at one point getting the stupid fundraiser. You got to go sell chocolate or
They have
whatever.
to learn entrepreneurship
Turn
after
kids
all.
into
I
Willie
get it.
Loman.
Yeah, I
guess so.
get a text from my sister last night. Your niece is doing a biggest fan fundraiser for softball, and she needs some names for the back of her shirt. $20, and you get your name on the back of her practice shirt.
Her practice
Her
shirt?
practice shirt?
Her practice
First of all,
shirt.
I don't
doesn't
even
matter.
get. Hold on. For $20, one, I get nothing.
Yeah.
Two,
No.
my name's not even on like the shirt she wears to the
Team
games
jersey.
I'm gonna go
Right.
see her at. 3, who thought of this? This is the most guilt trip ridden fundraiser I've ever heard in
It's
my
also
life.
humiliating for a kid who
Yes.
doesn't have anybody who can't
Yes.
get names on there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
also I don't want my grandmother and my uncle's name on my shirt.
You should put Mrs. Mr. Allison on it.
I asked if we get to choose what name appears on the shirt. I said because I don't have a lot of money, but Seymour Butts has
Yeah.
a lot.
And how did your sister respond to that, may we ask?
She laughed. She thinks it's ridiculous too.
Okay.
That I've never heard of something like that. And
Dude, travel
so many
baseball
bad
and
things.
softball teams, they're
Well,
always
kudos-
asking for money.
Kudos to people getting creative, but make it a good creative that actually makes sense for people. So they want
Yeah,
to
and-
donate.
and this isn't NASCAR. I want a little return on my investment.
Yeah.
Like Frank
That's what I
said.
mean.
Give me
Put
one.
me in a raffle that I know I'll never win because the coach's son will win or
yeah,
daughter.
one of these world's finest chocolate bars that used to be huge and now
raffle?
they're tiny.
Meat
raffle
raffles.
would be fun.
Especially
Wheel
this
of
time of year
meat.
with grilling. Yes. It is 6:19 right now. You are listening to Daybreak. I'm Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan, and this is the Civic Media Network.
Across the state of Wisconsin, Daybreak with Brian and Jamie is back.
Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us today on the Civic Media Network. It is 22 minutes after 6 o'clock. We are looking for warmer temperatures today. Some rain across the area, though. My name is Jamie Martinson.
Good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. If you want to get in on the action, jump in, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Later on, Brittany Cartoni is going to join us at 8:35. We're going to break down the election. Yesterday was Election Day here in Wisconsin. A lot of big news coming out of that. One of the things that came out, the Republican Party is they filed a complaint Monday with the Wisconsin Elections Commission demanding an investigation after Green Bay City Clerk accidentally mailed more than 150 people 2 absentee ballots for Tuesday's spring election. Oh, we've said this before. There's no fraud, but man, you got to be careful because this just fuels the fire. So, City Clerk Celestine Jeffries told local media her office will ensure votes do not get counted twice. She said the ballots were mailed around the time of the blizzard in mid-March. Remember that? Sure. She called that closed City Hall for a day. It forced staff to work quickly to send out the ballots on time. She says mailing labels were printed twice and ballots got sent out before the mistake was noticed. She says the city sent letters to voters who may have received 2 ballots telling them only to vote on one. Glad they have to tell people you can't vote twice, folks. According to the city, a total of 6,429 absentee ballots were requested by Green Bay voters. That was not the number of double ballots that were sent out. But, yeah, listen, I understand human error. Everybody makes mistakes. But in some things, you have to strive for as close to perfection as you can possibly get. And dealing with mail-in ballots and absentee ballots is one of those things because even though we know, and I said this, even though we know there is almost zero incidents of voter fraud with mail-in ballots or absentee ballots, giving the GOP and Donald Trump any ammunition is just a huge error.
I mean, really, it just feeds into their entire narrative. Every time it happens, it also starts to chip away at the trust, right? And that the safeguards aren't working. And even if the system is catching it, I mean, I get it. Human error happens all the time. And kudos to the city for acknowledging the error, correcting it quickly, and moving on. But the GOP complaint right now is arguing that Jeffries violated absentee ballot rules because she issued those unauthorized duplicate ballots without following the proper spoiling and destruction procedures. The Wisconsin GOP is calling on the Wisconsin Elections Commission to now launch an investigation into how the extra ballots were issued. Okay, it might just be time to move on as well.
Right. She told you how what happened. There was a blizzard. There was a mistake. She contacted the people, and it was only 116 people. Now, that's 116 too many. I am going to give you that if you are on the side of the lawsuit.
Right.
Yes, that's 116 too many. But it's not. It was. Sounds like an accident. It was admitted and fixed right away. People were contacted. It's not this deep state threat to the election integrity. It is not.
No, and in fact, if you want to go even further than that, it turns out that Brown County, including Green Bay, did end up still voting in their traditional red ways last night. There wasn't some nefarious flip to Chris Taylor because of these 116 ballots that went out. They still voted accordingly. There were no issues with the Green Bay elections yesterday. So, if you're the GOP, I think you can probably just move on. But
but we don't have people letting go of an election from 6 years ago. There's no letting go.
They're going to continue to harp on this. They're going to continue to talk about it. They're going to push it for as far as they absolutely can because they want to make sure that we understand that there is fraud in elections. There's not.
There's nothing in this story or this suit that says it was 116 Democratic voters that got double ballots. It could have been all Republican voters. It very well could either way, like you said, the election was not compromised. They got a hold of one of the voters that got their thing, wanted their ballot spoiled, and so they got a new one. And it all worked out fine. In a situation, the state was in turmoil in March during that blizzard.
Yes.
Everything was shut down.
Horrible.
You can imagine, and if you're rushing to try to get the ballots out on time because if they had used the blizzard as an excuse to send the ballots out late, that would have been another huge thing. Yep. So, relax.
Sometimes it is what it is. And I mean, I have to think about this in terms of 10, 15 years ago. Would anybody have questioned this? No. No,
people would have said that was dumb. They would have, maybe it comes up, but then it's discussed and it goes away and okay, this was what. All right. Yeah. This is why it happened. Well, okay, I understand. Let's move on. There's no moving on. This is the most petty, grievance-holding, victimized GOP I think I've ever heard. And Democrats love to play the victim, but man, oh man, for calling everybody snowflakes, the GOP is, so wounded all the time. Oh, no. You're persecuting us, trying to take away our vote. Shut up. You control all three branches of the federal government.
Right. And we still have shutdowns, weirdly, and things don't move along. And there's still, anyway, it's
those mean Democrats.
This is going to be one of those things where it's going to continue to come up, and it's going to be basically just evidence that something bad is happening when there really is no evidence of that whatsoever. So, I think
so. A lot of absentee ballots in Green Bay. Over almost 5,000 came in by Monday, so there were a lot. And again, just 116, but
that's it.
That's all. And I'm sure they would have caught it, even if those people had tried to vote twice. And again, we don't know if they're Democratic ballots or Republican ballots. I'm sure they would have caught it. But they didn't have to catch it because they caught it early. They caught it right away.
It was an easy, innocent mistake. It is 6:29 right now. You're listening to Daybreak. I am Jamie Martinson.
I'm Brian Noonan. Are Republican lawmakers finally ready to break away from Trump? We'll talk about that on the Civic Media Network.
All facts, no fiction. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
6:35 right now. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. If you're in Hayward listening on WBZH or in Richland Center on WRCE or even in Madison on WMDX, thank you so much for joining us. We do always appreciate it. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning. I'm Brian Noonan. Are Republican lawmakers finally starting to break away from Trump? And what's your reaction to the big change of heart last night? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. As you know, yesterday morning during the show, Donald Trump released the much talked about post on Truth Social saying that there was going to be an entire civilization wiped out last night. Well, thankfully, we know that did not happen. But during the day, there was no guarantee that it wasn't going to happen. And there was a lot of talk about the 25th Amendment, which we know is never going to happen. There was a lot of talk by politicians and newsmakers and everybody about how far he had gone, and this was nuts. And then once again, as is his custom, about an hour and a half before the deadline, he said there's a ceasefire. Well, before all that happened, which we'll talk about in a while, politicians started weighing in. And Jamie, I know you love it when Ron Johnson makes headlines. I couldn't believe it, but I was happy with the fact that even Republicans were coming out yesterday and saying this is beyond the pale. We can't have a president talking like this and making statements like this and basically calling for wiping out an entire civilization. And use the word if you want. Genocide is wiping out an entire people, and that's kind of what he was calling for. It's not kind of. It's exactly what he was calling for in his Truth Social. But everybody started weighing in, and you're nobody if you're not on a podcast anymore. So Ron Johnson went on a podcast, Jamie.
He did. He was on the John Solomon podcast on Monday, and he gave his reaction to the threats by President Trump when he said he was going to bomb bridges and power plants in Iran. Johnson said that on that podcast, he's hoping the president's comments are just bluster.
I am hoping and praying that President Trump this really is bluster. I do not want to see us start blowing up civilian infrastructure. I do not want to see that. We are not at war with the Iranian people. You know, we are trying to liberate them.
I mean, give it to Ron Johnson for getting something correct, right? Like, I'm not going to give him credit very often because usually he has a moment like this and then he turns around and does something where I'm like, wow, you really don't care about your constituents or the state of Wisconsin at all. In this particular case, he did actually speak up. He pushed back on the idea of targeting infrastructure. And right now, I guess in the middle of whatever we're watching this administration do from a higher level, we're going to take whatever we can get from the GOPers, including our own Ron Johnson.
Yeah, it's the ones who were silent or the ones who came out and backed this statement are the ones we really have to worry about, but we have to worry about all of them. And it's just, midterms in November, fingers crossed. Then Lisa Murkowski, she weighed in, but who, let's be honest, between her and Susan Collins, does anybody believe a word that comes out dripping out of her mouth? And she went on X too, referring to Trump's post as, quote, an affront to the ideals of our nation that undermines our long-standing role as a global beacon of freedom and directly endangers Americans both abroad and at home. That was the end of her quote. I'm sure
how
she
about you
didn't
vote
write it.
accordingly then? When something is actually put in front of you to put guardrails on this president and this administration, then how about you actually vote accordingly instead of just putting out a post on social media that you obviously probably most likely didn't write, right?
Exactly. Did not write it. And then, but she will make you think she's going to vote that way, Jamie, right up until the actual vote. And then she will change her mind because even what was the big vote that actually ended up screwing over the people of Alaska? But she backed it because Trump wanted it. And then, then she was like, oh no, what? How did that happen?
I didn't know it was going to be that bad. What? Then you obviously didn't do your job or your due diligence for your constituents, because all you have to do is read it, the bill that we're talking about, to understand that this was going to be bad for the people of Alaska. We've got people chiming in right now over on social media. Mark texting in from Prairie du Sac says, you just don't bluster like that. It is just too damned dangerous. We also have Tracy chiming in, listening on MDX. She's in Johnson Creek this morning, saying word is energy systems. The USA were hacked by Iran's power grid and water. Trump backed down. This was a test run. Don't trust him to not stop. And Tracy, we're going to get into more of that deal later this morning.
Not really a deal, but anyway.
No, it's not. It's not.
Nathaniel Moran from Texas, a Republican representative, also said he does not support. This is a way to go out on a limb, Nathaniel. I do not support the destruction of a whole civilization. That's not who we are. Well, it is kind of who we are now, Nathaniel, and it's not consistent with the principles that have long guided America. Right-wing commenters are starting to sour. Tucker Carlson called his expletive Easter post vile and evil. Alex Jones said it was time to move on from Trump. Megyn Kelly has turned against him.
Joe Rogan has turned against him. Yeah, Yeah, it's closer
to home. Democrats in Wisconsin, as you can imagine, they were not thrilled with the post yesterday. So Tammy Baldwin said this would be a war crime, plain and simple. Killing innocent people is not only cruel and immoral, but it's not what Wisconsinites want. President Trump needs to end this war of choice now. Ooh.
Here's the thing. Were you surprised? Who's surprised that the Democrats called him out? I mean, that's the thing. And I don't want to be too hard on the Democrats because, say what you want. They're in a tough spot. It is difficult for them to try to put any sort of guardrail, any sort of order in this administration when they obviously don't have the majority and their hands are somewhat tied. I mean, there's only so many options that they have. However, I'm kind of tired of the strongly worded letters. I'm tired of tweets. I'm tired of people going to social media to air their grievances with this administration. And
what else are they supposed to do, though? The Democrats have no power.
That's just it.
They were able to leverage a couple things. Like they're needed for the SAVE Act, so they can make their stand on the SAVE Act by not going along. But we're not in power. There's nothing you could do. The Republicans have the majority in the House and the Senate. They have the executive branch. And it seems like even though there have been some judgments to the contrary, it seems like they control the judiciary as well.
Yeah. We've got more texts coming in this morning. And if you want to be part of the conversation, we'd love to hear from you. 1-855-752-4842, 1-855-75-CIVIC. John from Oshkosh listening on WISS. It's all market manipulation on the lives of American military and the lives of the Iranians. Trump and his evil horde are pillaging anything that they can. I mean, that's just it. You saw the stock market go up last night by 600 points after this deal, we'll put that in air quotes, came out. So, and you look at the fact that this president thinks that by just a word, he can get the stock market to do whatever he wants it to do. And
he's proven it to be right. So everything we complain about that he thinks this, well, he thinks it for a reason. He thinks it because everybody has capitulated to what he wants. And yes, the stock market has jumped. He is now saying there's lots of money to be made by the strait reopening. We'll get into all of that, but it just it's unbelievable that we got to this. Now, our favorite, Gwen Moore, the math was not mathing for her, and so she took to. I wish there were, to your point, Jamie, I wish there was something they could do other than make statements on social media, but they can't. So, at least they're out there. Gwen said Republicans in Congress who refuse to take up a war powers resolution or do anything to curb this madman's powers own the deaths of innocent civilians.
I mean, and I understand that Democrats' hands are tied, especially when you have a GOP that is so unwilling to negotiate or do their actual jobs. So I can't put all of it on the Democrats, and because obviously, as Gwen Moore would say, the math ain't mathin'. You can't just have numbers show up in Congress. That's not how it works. But I kind of wish there was more happening, maybe boots on the ground from local representation. And this isn't just picking on Wisconsin representation. This is representation from across the country, especially when they're on things like recesses, right? I mean, doing the typical bring the press in, show that I'm part of the people. Maybe work at a local food pantry. Maybe be part of the people. See what's actually going on, because I don't really like the press junkets anymore. I think we're past that. I think we're past a time when just photos and your photo opportunity is probably, it's gone, right? Because we don't live in the normal times. And if you want to know what people are actually thinking and people are actually feeling about all of it, it might be time to do a little bit more boots on the ground type efforts. But that's just me. What do I know?
Well, it makes sense. But even with that boots on the ground, maybe it helps a little bit where the public perception, but that's just another photo op kind of move. It doesn't mean they're actually going to do anything. So until there is actual action, I'm going to stay skeptical. And all right, you came to a food bank for one day. Great. What are you doing the other 364 days? So I appreciate your point, but to me, it would make no difference. It's just a different side of the same coin.
I think we just live in a time where we want somebody to do something, right? Like we want to see that people are actually doing something. And unfortunately, that's just not happening. This administration, this GOP, they have put up so many walls in order for anything to happen. I mean, and when I say that, it's the compromise, it's the bipartisanship, because we know that they're not going to do that. And it's the American people, it's all of us who sit here day in and day out, who are the ones who are worrying about what comes next, how we feed our families, how if our husbands, our wives, if our kids, our grandkids are going to end up over in Iran because of this war. This is what's happening. And I guess at this point, I just want somebody to show that they damn well care. Right? I mean, that's what I want. Like, that's what I want, because I don't get it from any of my politicians.
It's sad that it's the bare minimum. That is,
right.
If that's the bar that we've set, that's pretty low and pretty sad, pretty embarrassing for our system. That just pretend that you care.
Yeah.
We know you're going to vote in your own self-interest.
Sure.
We know that the lobbyists are going to get to you. We know there's money. We know all of this. We know that once you're in power, that you want to stay in power. But give us the illusion. Pretend you're the Wizard of Oz. You can stay behind the curtain, but at least make us think that you are actually paying attention when we know that you're not.
And you care what's happening to the people in your home state. That's all I really want from them right now. And I don't know if that's too much to ask. I don't think the pearl clutching gets me there, and the strongly worded letters in the tweets certainly don't get me there. So at least make me feel good for 5 minutes. Like, that's all I'm asking.
I know, and I get your desire for that. I don't. To me, I don't buy. I wouldn't buy it. It's
I don't
not
like hypocrisy,
something...
but at least I'd be like, hey, at least they talked to somebody who actually might be living the life that the rest of us are
But
I don't know.
But they do that. I mean, you see them all the time. They're in a diner somewhere talking to somebody about
Those are so sad. I used to work
I know, but it doesn't
it's so
but it
set
doesn't
up.
mean anything. So anything they do is going to be set up. You think, first of all, they're going to be out with a camera, so you've set it up immediately. You've set it up. You're editing it. There's nothing genuine about them. They're every
Is that where
single
we're at?
one
Maybe
of them.
politics just isn't genuine at all.
Are you new?
Is that maybe where it?
Yeah. What, I'm sorry. Did you just wake
No.
up from a coma?
No.
From the Stone Age?
Now back to more of Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Civic Media Network. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. Are you willing to pay more for comfort when it comes to flying? I'm dropping my wife at the airport tonight. She's flying out to Pittsburgh to then drive to Massachusetts for one of the showers for my daughter. And, she's flying Southwest, which I used to be a big fan of Southwest when you could run on like a maniac and stand in a cattle
Yes.
holding pen and then try to get on a certain boarding area. Now they're like everybody else where you have to do your seat. But as a guy who's 6'5", and who was for a long time much wider than I am now, flying is always uncomfortable. And I think, like, Jamie, you probably don't have that problem because you are short in stature. So you don't have to worry about your legs hitting the back. Parker, Frank, and I, we have trouble in airlines.
No, but I live with three tall human beings who are much, much taller than I am. And so I understand flying for me is not that big of a deal. Although I will say, as short as I am, I get hit in the head a lot when people are trying to get their luggage into the overhead because, the elbows are like right at my height level. So I get elbowed in the head a lot if I'm not paying attention or I'm trying to find my seat. So there is pros and cons. I don't really love to be on airplanes anyway. Like I'm not afraid to fly. I don't like the act of getting onto the plane. I don't like the act of being sardined onto a plane. The only thing that I appreciate is once I'm on the plane, usually, knock on wood, hoping that everything goes well, it's a very quick process, right? It's not like driving where it takes me days to get somewhere. That's the only
I don't
thing
mind
I
that.
can
See, I don't mind that. I like flying. I don't mind. I hate the claustrophobic feel as a big guy in a small plane. Because even when I've taken transit, I don't have first class money. That's the problem. Right. I need first class money because I have to fly in steerage with the rest of the unwashed, and I don't like the unwashed.
But if it's a domestic flight, right? I mean, overseas it's a little different. But if you're doing a domestic flight, first class is literally the first two seats on the plane.
Yeah, no, I know, and I don't. If it's like a 3 to 4 hour flight, you get yourself in the zone. But then we all have also been in that situation where we're waiting and waiting, and somebody's in the window, and you're on the aisle, and there's nobody in the middle, and you're just watching, and you pray, oh, this could be it. And maybe you've been lucky enough to fly when you've got nobody else in your row. Maybe you took a red eye, and it's just you. Well, now United is trying something new, a relax row. So, yes, it's like a couch. It's a sky couch, and the footrest will come up so it will turn into a bed. So you would have the 3 seats, and it could be you and a partner lolling about on your.
So many Mile High Club jokes in this, isn't there?
I know. Listen. My joke is just that nobody would be sitting next to me, in their sweatpants and their sleeveless shirts, and they're just it sounds
good.
lovely. So the rows are designed using technology pioneered by Air New Zealand. And this over a decade ago, they started doing it. It's 3 economy seats with footrests that can be raised and locked to create a quasi bed. United's going to begin selling the Relax Row, for an added fee, on an economy ticket before the end of the year for flights starting in 2012 and 2027. They'll be exclusively on United's twin-aisle Boeing 787 and Boeing 777.
There's a drawback. You got to be on a Boeing then.
Well, sure. But if you're laying in a bed, do you know the plane's exploded? Do you know the door got sucked out? I don't think so.
You're happy.
Yes. So it's but I'm all right. So sounds good on paper, correct?
Sure.
You lay down, You buy the 3 seats, put your feet
Who's
up.
changing the bet? Like, is there going to be betting on these seats? Is it like
Could be
what,
crispy.
Like, what am I sitting on? Like, those are my questions. This is why I don't like planes, because I'm kind of a germaphobe.
Well, you'd be sitting on the regular seat. They don't
Okay.
actually put down sheets and stuff.
see,
so you'd
then
be
I'm-
sitting on the seat, and then the other thing is the footrest comes up and becomes part of the bed. So now you're putting your face where somebody's feet were
Yes,
after they've been
yes.
mucking out their horse stalls and then decided to just get on a plane. I don't know if anybody
No.
does that, but it sounds it
I'm
paints
sure
the
there's
correct
people
picture.
who do that. I'm
Oh.
sure there's people who do
I've
that.
seen
for
people at
sure.
the airport. It looks like they just wandered out of homeless shelters. They were
I don't know,
pajamas and
This makes my
ragamuffins.
skin crawl and my hands sweaty thinking about the germs associated with this relax row. But
Well, here's
all right.
here's the thing. The Sky Couch is 61 inches long, so that's 5 feet 1 inch. So I couldn't even lay down
you
anyway.
couldn't even do it. Neither
I couldn't
my
do
husband's
anything.
only 5'10". He would be hanging
No.
off the edge of this too.
You'd think this was a king size bed. It's 29 inches wide, so it's very small. Doesn't sound relaxing to
It's
me.
1 inch longer than I am. I'm 5 feet exactly, so I'd get 1 extra inch in there.
So
Oh, my
it's
goodness.
smaller than a twin mattress, is what this is. $1,248 for a Sky Couch, in addition to a $1,200
Wow.
one-way economy fare. So if you were going, say, from here to New Zealand, it's a 14. They clocked it 14 hours from Houston to Auckland. So you'd be paying $1,200 just for one way for the flight. Then you throw on an extra $1,250 to get yourself your row. Now, if I was traveling by myself and if I had that kind of money, I'd be in first class
Right.
or business class.
Yes.
Somewhere where I'm getting pampered. Where, again,
Exactly.
I'm not going to have some punk kid behind me kicking the chair. I'm not
Right.
going to have some idiot putting their foot up between the seats.
Or my face buried where somebody's butt was for an entire flight. Like these are no.
All right, so this is not for you. For an adult and a child together, it's $624 plus the cost of the tickets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is
So if you're
that-
bringing your kid and you need some room now. That, again, for a little room to lay out, but then
Yes.
you're going to have people changing their kids right on the seat.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
is, people do that anyway, and it's already gross. I need to get to private jet money. I can't wait till it's time to renegotiate my deal here.
I know.
I need to get away from the general public.
Yes. I am 100% behind you on that one. They just make things harder, don't they? The general
Yes,
public.
they do, the general public.
It is 6:59 right now. Thank you for listening to Daybreak. I'm Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. Headlines after this on the Civic Media Network.
Wisconsin wakes up here. Back to Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Civic Media Network. It is 6 minutes after 7 o'clock. My name is Jamie Martinson.
Good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. If you want to get involved, jump in on the action, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. A lot of news we're about to get to. Pete Hegseth is having a press conference right now, so we'll keep one eye on that and see if he says anything good. This just broke, since we're going to get into headlines from Iran and about the war. The president has said that the U.S. is going to work with Iran to, quote-unquote, dig up enriched uranium buried under strikes last summer. Problem is, Iran has not confirmed that. So once again, as much as we would like to believe the messaging coming out of our administration, we know at this point we have to be skeptical of everything they say because 90% of it has proven to be just fabrication out of one man's fetid brain.
I thought we took care of all of that.
Jamie, we did. It's totally obliterated last year. And then in a week and a half, they rebuilt everything. And then
All
we
of
had
it.
to go, and then they were going to murder us, even though there was no,
They weren't?
they weren't. So we went to war. So here are
right.
some other headlines. As you can see, we didn't, the U.S. did not bomb Iran back to the Stone Ages, which is great. The United States said Iran have said that they agreed to a 2-week ceasefire in the war that includes the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump initially had said Iran proposed a quote-unquote workable 10-point plan that could help end the war launched by the U.S. and Israel in February. He later called it fraudulent without elaborating. Neither Iran nor the United States said when the ceasefire would begin. As of last night, there were still a lot of bombs flying around.
There were. The ceasefire had not actually started last night. In fact, after the ceasefire was to take place, there were still missiles being launched. So I hopefully those things calm down and somebody adheres to the ceasefire at some point. In other headlines from Iran, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said that it supports Donald Trump's decision to suspend strikes against Iran for 2 weeks, but that it doesn't include the war with Hezbollah in Lebanon.
All right.
Always caveats that we forget about, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot going on over there. And since, Netanyahu called the shots to get us into this, we'll see. A 2-week ceasefire includes allowing both Iran and Oman to charge fees on ships transitioning through the Strait of Hormuz, a regional official said today, on condition of anonymity to discuss internal deliberations. The strait is in the territorial waters of both Oman and Iran. The world had considered the passage an international waterway and never paid tolls before. So let me get this straight, because I know we're going to be told we're winning. And Jamie, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Before we started bombing Iran, the Strait of Hormuz was open and ships just passed through. Now, part of this deal, and we'll elaborate more, part of this deal is that Iran will open the Strait of Hormuz, but now they're going to charge tolls of $2 million on every ship that goes through.
Yes.
So we're better off how? Where did we win?
Well, that we still don't know. Okay. That is still to be seen. Now, here's the thing that I'm going to ask, and I know this sounds so elementary, but when I think about this, I literally think about it like a toll road here in the United States. Are they going to have some little pass in their cargo ship window that just allows them to go through where the
fast pass?
Yeah,
even though oil tankers are notoriously not fast.
They're not fast, and I know it sounds so elementary, but every time we talk about these ships at a toll, I'm like, is that what it's going to be like? How is this actually going to work?
And I just see them backed up because the gate won't open and somebody's honking, one oil tanker honking, another, let's go, move your ass.
Yeah.
The gate's broken. And you're honking, hoping the attendant will come out, but the attendant never comes out because they're state employees and they're just sitting in a box and they don't care.
One time your fast pass doesn't register and damn it, you get a ticket because you didn't actually pay your toll. I know it seems elementary, and we shouldn't be joking about. We should be.
We have to joke.
But that was what I was going to say. But we have to, because all of this is absurd.
Yes.
In other headlines, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance called the ceasefire agreement a fragile truce, but offered no details.
Of course not.
Now, the vice president, who was speaking at an event in Hungary, said the deal that the U.S. struck with Iran was being misrepresented within Iran, though he didn't offer details beyond saying that the agreement included the ceasefire, plans to negotiate, and the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. That's because, here's a news flash, there probably isn't any plans.
Right. They don't have any details. They don't have any plan. They're trying to spin, how can it look like we won a crisis that we started that is now resulting in America having to pay potentially $20 billion in reparations. That's coming out of your and my pockets. Donald Trump isn't going to give back any of his grifted money to pay for this. So they have to figure out how to make it look like we won, how we're going to convince the gullible acolytes of Donald Trump that this was all part of the plan. Don't you know he was negotiating for a better deal where we had to pay more money? See, we were getting it for free, Jamie. You don't understand business, maybe because you're a lady and you got lady brain. This is how it works. You're getting something for nothing, and you say, you know what? I'm going to get a better deal. I'm going to pay a lot for that.
Just coming in this morning from the AP. The White House now saying nothing is final over plans for in-person talks over Iran. In response to questions about whether U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance would be participating in U.S.-Iran talks expected to be held later this week in Pakistan, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a statement, quote, there are discussions about in-person talks, but nothing is final until announced by the president or the White House. Now, of course, J.D. Vance, again, as we just mentioned, is in Hungary. He's actually been meeting with Minister Viktor Orban ahead of their upcoming elections, which should also give you the warm fuzzies this morning.
Yeah. Warm funnies or the skeevy feeling. That skeevy feeling, which is kind of warm and fuzzy, too. All right, Parker, there is so much more stuff we need to know.
It's a wake-up call in more ways than one. Time for some you need to know.
Well, the Justice Department Civil Rights Division is investigating a star witness, surprise, who testified against Donald Trump. The Justice Department is investigating Cassidy Hutchinson. Remember her? She testified about January 6th attack on the Capitol. The case is being handled by the Civil Rights Division, which is unusual because it normally exists to deal with issues like police misconduct, not about lying to Congress, allegedly. The investigation started after referral from a Trump ally in Congress claiming Hutchinson gave false testimony. Some officials inside the Justice Department aren't convinced there's enough evidence to bring a strong case, but that hasn't stopped them before. This kind of case would normally be handled by a U.S. Attorney's Office, not reassigned the way this one was. The move fits into a broader pattern of efforts by Donald Trump to go after his political opponents using the Department of Justice. And if you remember, just last week, when your good friend Pam Bondi was shown the door, it was one of the reasons given was she did not use the DOJ as a weapon of retribution enough. So courts, judges, and even some prosecutors have already pushed back on similar cases, slowing or stopping them, and a federal judge recently blocked another investigation tied to Trump's concerns, saying it appeared to be more about harassment than a legitimate legal case. Surprise.
Would you like to know why there aren't more cases of retribution? Because they don't actually exist, and there's no merit to them once they get into the courts, and they've all been thrown out. Every single one of the...
We can keep bringing them.
Well, we'll continue to waste taxpayer money to do so then, I guess, but none of these are going to ever be prosecuted because there is no retribution. There was no nefarious acts against this president. This is simply retribution on the administration's part, plain and simple. Cassidy Hutchinson testified about what she saw on January 6th. Now she's being investigated, and whether you agree with what she said or not, it's wrong. It's wrong to bring charges against somebody who testified to what they actually saw. And let's be clear, if you remember way back when we watched that testimony, this was not somebody who was there trying to make a name for themselves. She was nervous. She was scared. She was sweating through the entire process. And if you, whether you agreed with her, whether you didn't agree with her, she did what she thought was right because of what she had seen. There was some sort of bravery involved in that as well, especially knowing how many eyes were on her that particular day. This is... Obviously, they don't want anybody speaking up against the president. They don't want anybody saying anything bad about the president. And that's literally what all of this stems from.
Yeah, well, you're not. This is not news to that part's not news to me.
No,
so
it's not. It's just
not news.
Why are we still litigating all of this stuff from so many years ago? That's what I'm having a hard time fathoming.
Well, how about a more recent case from Milwaukee?
Yeah. Yes.
Federal judge denied former Milwaukee Judge Hannah Dugan's request to overturn her guilty verdict, saying there was no legal basis to do so. A jury found her guilty of obstructing federal immigration agents, but not guilty of a separate charge of hiding an undocumented immigrant. Her attorneys argued that she was acting within her role as a judge and should be immune, but the court rejected that argument. So the judge also said overturning a jury verdict is rare and should only happen in extreme situations, which he said this case was not. It's now going to move to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, where her legal team plans to continue fighting the conviction. The charges stem from an incident you'll remember where immigration agents were waiting in a courthouse hallway to arrest a man. After his hearing, Dugan confronted the agents, directed them away, and then escorted the man and his attorney through a private hallway typically used by the staff. The man was eventually arrested outside after a short chase, but prosecutors say her actions disrupted and complicated the arrest. Judge ruled his instructions to the jury were correct and did not justify a new trial, and Dugan resigned from the bench after the verdict and had already been suspended with pay during the case. So that will continue. She has vowed to fight, even though she did resign. She said she's going to fight to clear her name, and she's welcome to do that.
I mean, this is where different systems of the government start to collide, right? And, it is her courtroom to do what she wants, which is what she is arguing. At the same time, obviously, you have federal agents who had a job to do, and
that was just a punk way to do their job. They were waiting until people came. People came for all kinds of hearings, naturalization hearings, all kinds of stuff, and they're just waiting. And it's like, that's Bush League. That was some Bush League maneuvering by ICE.
There was, and it sets a tone for how judges see how they can do their jobs, which is also a dangerous precedent to be setting. I know we're wrapping up here, so we'll get to this one very quickly. But Tammy Baldwin is now pressing the United Postal Service over Wisconsin mail delays. In fact, she has penned a frustrated letter to the head of the U.S. Postal Service.
They love the letters.
She did so yesterday, urging him to resolve mail delivery delays and staffing shortages in Wisconsin. She said her office has recovered dozens of complaints from constituents about delays, saying millions of Wisconsinites rely on the Postal Service to stay in touch with loved ones, pay bills, receive much-needed medications, and cast their vote. We have a duty to find solutions to these difficulties for the people we serve. Now, a spokesperson for the United States Postal Service said the agency will respond directly to Baldwin's letter. She attributes the delays to this pilot program that the Postal Service began implementing in 2024 as part of a wider overhaul meant to turn things around at what is now an ailing agency.
Well, we'll see.
Strongly worded letters.
Strongly worded letters always get the effect you need. You know what else gets the effect you need? Swiping or staying, and we will swipe and or stay after this. This is Daybreak. I'm Brian Noonan.
I'm Jamie Martinson. It is 7:19. You're listening to the Civic Media Network.
Let's break out of the bubble and see what's happening out there in pop culture. It's Swipe or Stay on Daybreak.
7:22 right now. Thank you for joining us this morning on the Civic Media Network. It is time to put the politics aside for just a moment and play some Swipe or Stay. Our senior producer, Frank, joins us. Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic. Can't wait to swipe and or stay.
Well, we've talked about elections, bombings, or not bombings. So I feel like today's a much-needed Swipe or Stay session.
Little levity is what you're saying.
Just a little bit. So here's how it's going to work if you're new to this. I'm going to read some vague pop culture headlines. Brian and Jamie are going to have to decide whether they want to swipe on to the next one or if they want to stay and hear more and talk more about it. If they tie, Parker gets to be the tiebreaker. So we're going to move on right along to story number one, which none of you have read or know about, I'm sure. UK Music Festival is canceled over an American artist.
Oh, I think
there's only one correct answer for this one.
I think we better stay.
Do it for the bit.
We'll stay.
Brian,
Commit to the
swipe
bit.
for the bit.
Stay.
That's right. So we talked about Wireless Music Festival losing sponsors over booking Kanye West, but now the entire festival is canceled.
Wow.
This comes after the UK announced the denied entry of Ye into the country over his past anti-Semitic behavior. Wireless Fest released a statement saying the Home Office has withdrawn Ye's ETA, denying him entry into the United Kingdom. As a result, Wireless Festival is canceled and refunds will be issued to all ticket holders. As with every Wireless Festival, multiple stakeholders were consulted in advance of booking Ye, and no concerns were highlighted at the time. You're telling me there's not one concern brought up in that meeting among stakeholders? Not one person went,
Will he be selling merch?
Yeah, if you go over to his website, there's only one thing you can buy. It's a white T-shirt with a swastika on it. I'm kidding. That was only for a period of time.
Right.
But
Yes.
that did happen. I'm not
did.
sure
Frank,
if it's still the
he's
case.
apologized. He said he was sorry for all that. Come on.
He says
Guys.
it was at a time when his mental decline in health was not good, and that he's better now. He's
better.
He's all better.
We've all had mental breakdowns where we switch over to Nazism, right?
Sure. That's
Right?
what happens.
Sure.
I'm not even playing your little game with that one, Frank.
So yeah, festival's canceled. Ye won't be going to the UK anytime soon. Price is Right losing horn. Boom, boom, boom. Yep. We're moving on to story number 2. An upcoming biopic costs millions to reshoot.
Ooh.
Oh,
I'll just stay.
I'll stay.
So it turns out the upcoming Michael Jackson biopic had to reshoot an alternate ending.
Oh, what?
One where he didn't diddle boys?
That actually, Brian, I know you made a joke, but that is actually correct.
Oh.
The Michael Jackson estate shelled out $10 to $15 million to change the ending of the movie to show Michael in a better light. The original movie was supposed to end with Michael's child molestation accusations and how he battled with that. And now the movie will end with Michael at the peak of his stardom.
Wow, that's a
my God.
lighthearted ending, isn't it? Leaving
Yep.
you, the theater's feeling good and happy.
And nothing else happened.
Who made are the people behind the Melania movie responsible for this documentary too? Or this
I
biopic?
mean, it's basically Michael's estate, which is his PR team, his lawyer. Paris Jackson actually filed legal documents accusing the estate executors, John Branca and John McClane, of totally botching the production of the movie and allegedly making excessive legal payments to third-party law firms.
Wow.
John McClane, that former New York cop.
I thought the same thing. I thought the same thing when I read it, Brian. But yes, see, sometimes when you joke, you hit the nail on the head.
There's a little bit of truth in every joke, Frank.
Yes.
All right, moving on to maybe my favorite story, just to grease the wheels here a little bit. A prominent NFL head coach denies cheating rumors.
Ooh,
Oh, I know that. I think I know this story. We'll stay.
Wow, Jamie knows it. I'm
I
shocked.
don't know it, but I'm going to stay because infidelity fuels my life. That's not true.
I like that you thought infidelity because I thought maybe you might think it's a Bill Belichickism, especially with the head coach we're about to talk about. This isn't Spygate or Deflategate. This is Mike Vrabel denying recent rumors of cheating, but not on the field. Vrabel was seen photographed spending close time with prominent NFL reporter Diana Rossini. In the photos obtained by Page Six, Vrabel and Rossini, who are both married with children, shared a hug and appeared to dance with their fingers interlocked while on the roof of the Sedona Hotel.
Could you be more obvious? I mean, he spends 3/4 of his life with this woman, like especially on weekends. Like, maybe pick somebody a little less obvious if that's what you're going to do.
Well,
Other
or don't dance
Yep.
with your fingers. I mean, a hug is a
That too.
hug.
The hug is the hug.
Nothing.
Hug.
A hug's a hug.
I was
Yes.
like, whatever. Them
Yeah.
lounging by the pool, whatever. It's zoomed in, and I don't know who else is there, right? But
Sure.
the interlocked
The Cabana Boy.
fingers.
Yeah, the interlocked
Wow.
fingers is when stuff is getting serious.
No, I don't know many
Or
work
dancing on a
colleagues.
rooftop. That's very. I'll hold your hand, Frank, if you want.
I can't. We can. I'm just saying, I've never done that before.
Parker
So
feels left
Vrabel
out.
came
I'll
out
hold
and
your
s-
hand too, Parker.
Yep. Vrabel came out and
thank
said these photos show a completely innocent interaction and any suggestion otherwise is laughable. While Rossini said the photos don't represent the group of 6 people who were hanging out during the day.
Were they
Like
all
most
dancing?
journalists,
Are
yep,
they all
like
interlocking fingers?
Like
Why are you
most journalists
dancing?
in the NFL, reporters interact with sources away from stadiums and other venues. Yeah, Diana, but I don't see Aaron Nagler dancing interlocked fingers with Matt LaFleur. Parker
No.
liked that reference. I know he did.
I did. I really did.
He loved it. Wow, that's
Wow.
all right. Listen, that was something.
No
So I got-
swipes today.
No swipes, and I got
That was good stuff.
All good
picked
stories.
that one,
Frank.
the non-field cheating and the Michael Jackson diddling. So
Good work,
good
Brian.
about myself. When we come back, there is so much more, including we're talking to the founders of a Wausau company that went global, and now they have a book. We'll do that on the Civic Media Network.
Local news, community stories, and the conversations that matter most. Now, more Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. You are listening to the Civic Media Network, and if you are in La Crosse listening on WLCX or in Wausau on WXCO or even in Appleton and Oshkosh on WISS, we are glad that you decided to join us today. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. If you played sports as a kid and you are of a certain age, there is a really good possibility that you got a catalog from Eastbay, and you flipped through that catalog and you were like, ooh, I want these baseball pants, and I need these stirrups,
Yes.
and I need this, a windbreaker, 100%. They always had the flannel lined windbreaker. That was always great. You might not have known that company, Eastbay, started in Wausau and was started by two lifelong friends, Art Udis and Rick Gehring. Well, they not only have been lifelong friends, they have been hugely, hugely successful with Eastbay, and they have their first book coming out. It is called The Book of Eastbay. It chronicles the inside story of how these two entrepreneurs built one of the most influential brands in sports retail. They're having a big book signing coming up this Saturday, April 11th, at Yankee Bookstore in Wausau. It's from 1 to 3. It's open to the public, and all proceeds from the book are being donated to charity. We welcome Art and Rick now. Guys, thanks for being here. I have a feeling this is going to be a very fun interview because there's nobody who doesn't know about Eastbay. Like I said, if you grew up in a certain time frame, the catalogs came, but the book is not just about the business, it's about the friendship. So how did you guys meet? How did your friendship then evolve into deciding we're going to found this sporting goods company?
Well, we actually met when I was when I was 2 days old in a bassinet in the hospital, and Rick was placed in the bassinet next to me, according to our parents. Later, parents moved in a couple of houses away from each other, and Rick's the only person I remember since then, outside of my sisters. And Rick and his brothers, we would just. I'd trudge over to his house. He'd trudge over to my house. It was the typical 1950s and 60s. You'd get kicked out of house in the morning and come back when the lights go on at night for the street lights, and they didn't want to see him. But we spent all our time together, and we kept doing that. I think Rick's daughter said, I think you guys have talked to each other every day of your lives that I know of. So
that is amazing. That is amazing. So Rick, as you were growing up, were you guys into sports? Did that kind of lay the foundation, or did the company come about just organically in a different way?
We both were into sports. We were kind of locked in our neighborhoods. We were the youngest kids on our 3-block little bit neighborhood that we had, and Wausau was such a huge sports city. So all of us growing up looked up to the high school kids because none of us had any money that would ever be able to go to a pro game or even go to a college game. So the high school kids, older high school kids in town really were the ones that you looked up to and the ones you tried to replace when they moved on.
So I love this part, and either one of you can answer this. You say that you started with about $4,000 and an AMC Gremlin. So what were those early days like for the two of you starting this business together?
I think we still have some outstanding speeding tickets, don't we? Could be. We tried a different tact than a regular retailer. We went directly to the schools and tried to sell kids at the school. But it was we tried to get 3 to 4 schools in a day, and we were just flying all over the state.
Wow!
Fast as we could go. We tried to.
What brought this? How did the idea take? Were you both in? Where were you? Were you both like in college? Were you both working at the same place that you came up with this idea? How did marketing sports equipment and clothing to high school kids at the beginning? How did that even start?
I was lucky. I ran track at the University of Wisconsin Stevens Point, and we went to the national track meet down in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. And we got down there and saw shoes that we had never seen anywhere near where we lived, and came back with the idea that let's see if we can find a way to bring shoes and get the best shoes to athletes in our area that we got to see down there. It was pretty inspiring.
Now, you guys also, speaking of shoes, you kind of are credited with having a big influence on bringing Air Jordans to the market and starting this whole big sneaker culture that's going on. How did that come about?
I think it was just the right, so much of what we did was the right place at the right time, doing the right thing with the right people,
Yeah.
the Wausau people. And our first color catalogs came out. We were just, we started so small, we'd go on, we'd have a black and white, and then when first color catalog came out with the Jordans and the Air Junks and everything, and we had the Jordans in white green and white red and all these different colors and the burgundy, and people kept calling us saying, I've never seen these before. Where can we get them? I said, well, we'll give them to you in 3 days. But it was just for us, and actually the industry, a Wizard of Oz moment where people went from just all white on white shoes to color, and we went to color too. So it was perfect timing.
Wow. We're talking with Art Edis and Rick Gehring. They are the founders of Eastbay, a company founded in Wausau. They are the authors of a new book. It's called The Book of Eastbay. They're going to be holding a book signing on Saturday at the Yankee Bookstore in Wausau from 1 to 3. All proceeds from the book are being donated to charity. And you mentioned the catalog, and I remember the catalog between my friends, my high school boyfriend always ordering. We always waited for those catalogs to come in. But when did you realize that Eastbay had become what it was becoming? Because, again, everybody waited for that catalog. You always waited for that to come into the mail. It was a thing, and you were always so excited. So when did it actually hit you guys that, wow, this is a thing?
We started small, but even at our first clinic that we put on, we could tell the kids just loved the attention. Nobody ever came to them directly at the school. And once we started getting the coaches involved, and they helped us so much, they asked for pictures. We sent pictures as we could afford to do it. But all along the way, it was a really gradual buildup to where we went from 0 names to 5 million names that we would mail in, up to 40 million catalogs a year, because the kids kept asking for it. So it was a gradual growth. Except it was a lightning growth when it came to sales, but it took a number of years to do it. There wasn't an internet, there wasn't an Instagram. It took a while, but it's got to be amazing
for our producer who just turned 23. When you say, Art, there was no, or Rick, there's no internet. We sent everything out by catalog, and and Jamie's right. Everybody waited for that catalog, and you knew if you were looking for, whether it's the old school baseball shirts or anything, you were going to find it in Eastbay. What about right now made it the right time for you guys to decide to tell the story and write the book?
Well, our kids have been on us for years to write down all our stories. We always get together, our families and that, and Rick and I talk about all these different stories we have. So we started that, and then we were working on that. And then when Eastbay closed down, we got another inspiration from all the wonderful ex-customers that wrote all these great things about Eastbay and how much they loved about it, from LeBron James to Steph Curry and PJ Tucker, and Shaq and all these guys, and how much they loved Eastbay and how much they watched and how much it meant to them. And we said, we really should get at this beyond, I think, just a memoir. Let's make it into a full-fledged book. And then we start including more and more of our people from Wausau and talking to them. And and so we've come up with a book.
You guys call yourselves accidental entrepreneurs, which I love. And if you look back at that now, what do you mean when you say that? What would that mean to somebody who doesn't understand what you're saying?
Well, part of our story is that we grew up as a catalog industry grew up. And so we started small and never had any inkling that we would turn into an international catalog. So it was by accident, kind of. We didn't have a real. I think by the time we got to 30 million, we still didn't have a budget. We still didn't have job descriptions. We were just a super flat organization, just working our butts off with some great, amazing people that help kids get shoes that they wanted to get.
Arudis and Rick Gehring are the founders of Eastbay. Their new book, The Book of Eastbay, will be released on Tuesday, the 14th. But if you are in Wausau this Saturday from 1 to 3, go to Yankee Bookstore because they are doing a book signing from 1 to 3. Everybody is welcome there, and all proceeds from the book are being donated to charity. I have to know, because we've all had friendships in our lives come and go. You guys have been friends, as you said, since the 50s, every day from the minute you were born. What's the secret of staying friends, not only friends, but then business partners for that long? It seems like an amazing, impossible task.
It's trust. You grow up, we were the youngest kids on our blocks. And so we had to fight every day against the kids that are 3, 4, 5, 6 years older than we were. And so we learned to trust each other, and we just built it from there. We probably wouldn't have started. I'll just put a plug in for Art. We probably wouldn't have started had he not accidentally shown up at a meeting we had, and from there he said, "Yeah, I want to be involved in it." So,
is there one thing, Art and Rick, one thing about the other one that has bothered you for all these 70 years that you are not now? You're like, all right, it's time to air the dirty laundry. There's something that I gotta finally let you know that, and this is going to be the place you do it.
I always wish I knew how it was always easy for Rick to talk to the girls. That I admired that the most. That was the important part.
All right.
Well, he can talk to anybody.
And you never gave Art any of your expertise, Rick. You never taught him how to have a little swag.
He tried.
0 times anything is still 0,
Well, if you read the book, he did introduce me to my wife, so that was good.
Oh, there you go. Very nice.
We actually have a message coming in over on our YouTube stream this morning from John. He says, as a former high school and college athlete, Eastbay catalogs were always a highlight. Hopefully I was able to help pay down some of those speeding tickets, gentlemen. No.
Well, we still have some outstanding ones. So if he wants to we can send a check to our website.
There you go.
I love that. So when we think of Eastbay today, and when you guys think of Eastbay and everything that you've been through the friendship and through all of these years, what's the thing that you guys are most proud of as you've built this business and held this friendship for all these years?
That it's still here. Yeah. No question about it. I mean, we still see each other virtually every day. Whether he's running over me with a car or I'm running over him with a bike or something like that, we see each other every day, virtually. Except he got to go to Hawaii for a week. I don't know what's going on.
Oh man, we gotta look into those finances. Well, guys, it is a fantastic story. Again, the book is The Book of Eastbay, and if you want to meet the guys, you're in Wausau on Saturday from 1 to 3 at Yankee Bookstore. You can go in, get the book signed. I know you've heard from big shots, you've heard from everyday people, but congratulations on your lasting legacy, and congratulations on the book. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. We have our prologue, if we could say, bookofeastbay.com. We have our prologue. So as we went directly to the kids at the school, we thought we'd put something direct on the website that,
I love that
somebody could take a peek and see if they want to lower their literary standards and take a chance and buy the book. So.
Why not? Yeah, we need a fun distraction of a great story. Bookofeastbay.com is the website. Art Udis and Rick Gehring, thank you so much, gentlemen. Have a great day. And we will be back with more. This is Daybreak on the Civic Media Network.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys are great.
Thanks, guys.
Fairly solid and better than expected. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. We hope that your day is off to a great start. We are looking for some warmer temperatures across the state today. Going to be a little breezy and maybe some rain on and off as well. But hey, fake spring. This is what it's made of, right? On and off days of warm temperatures. It's 7:52. I'm Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. Thanks again to Art and Rick from Eastbay.
Great conversation.
The book of Eastbay.com is the website. If you want to go there, I got to get that book because it sounds like a fascinating story. And I shared that I still have Eastbay products that I use. So that is amazing, the reach that they had. Well, the other day we were talking about some sort of, what was the animal that Parker wanted to shoot down and took 10 bullets? Was kangaroos, wombats?
Emus.
Takes a lot of bullets to kill an emu, Brian.
Does take a lot of bullets to kill an emu. Parker had made that statement, and then we collaborated that. We fact checked. Takes about 10. We didn't get an emu and then just take it to a range and practice. We didn't do it that way, but we did some Google searching. Well, Ashland County has had an adopted kind of mascot. They had a white pelican that had been found near Lake Superior, and it was injured. And now, unfortunately, it has passed away. And it brings up a question of people just not hunting, just shooting birds and then leaving them there, like just out of cruelty or out of some sort of sickness. So that's what I don't understand about this whole story. What is it gotten into people that this is fun? And we should tell you this story about why we're asking this. But it was an American white pelican. It captured the hearts of the people in Ashland County because the Raptor Education Group in Antigo shared the news in a Facebook post that the pelican had died. Gitchy was the name of the pelican. And they said, despite our best care and efforts, Gitchy could not overcome the severe health challenges that she faced. So Gitchy, the pelican, was brought into the Raptor Education Group for treatment by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources in December, and they looked at Gitchy. They gave it an examination. The bird was underweight, poor body and feather condition, and had severe frostbite. Bird hadn't been eating. Well, then they figured out why, because there was bullets. There were fragments of lead and steel shot found in the body and gunshot wounds to the beak, face, neck, and abdomen. Now, I'm not a hunter. I don't have anything against hunting, but we don't hunt pelicans, correct?
No, not
okay.
Not that I knew last time. I mean, Wisconsin is trying to make it legal to vote to basically hunt cranes now. So that one I also don't understand, but I really don't understand the random act of just shooting a bird. Why? What is the purpose of this?
And I mean, if you pull back and take a big picture, is it the lack of empathy across society where you don't even have, you look at something beautiful, and pelicans an amazing bird, and it's an admirable piece of nature. Mm-hmm. You look at that and you have no feeling other than, I'm going to shoot that thing. You're not shooting it for food. You're not shooting it to survive.
How do
You're not
make
shooting
that
it.
Connection?
I don't know.
How does that connection come to your brain? I don't understand it. And I thought it was fascinating as we were talking about this story yesterday because I learned a few things about pelicans. Now, here's the thing. I'm not a bird person, but I can have admiration for things that I don't understand and things that I think are really cool.
Now, a pelican, almost like a bird-duck combo.
Yes.
Are you? Does that still fall into your I don't like birds?
I would be okay with a pelican.
Okay.
They aren't going to swoop at me all that much either,
No.
unless they're going for a fish. And I would not be mistaken for a fish. But American white pelicans typically hunt in groups, and they use their feet and their wings to drive fish into shallow water. So Gitchy, being a younger bird, didn't really have the support of the other pelicans to help secure any food, which is why she came in such poor condition other than the bullets and why she was so underweight. So I found that fascinating because I had no idea that they worked together like that to actually get my biggest experience with a pelican is from Finding Nemo. That's my biggest experience from Finding Yes, that's my biggest experience with a pelican. So I find it interesting when I can learn about new things.
Yeah, I don't know. I know the Finding Nemo pelican. I know the New Orleans pelicans.
Yes.
But other than that, I don't know much. I know, they swoop in. They got that big giant beak and use it as a bucket. But again, I would want to watch that bird fly and fish.
Yes.
I wouldn't sit there and go, nope, I got taking a shot at that bird.
Well, considering they also at the Raptor Center found out when Gitchie came in and they started running radiographs on her that she'd been shot multiple times with at least 2 different types of ammunition. So there were fragments of lead, there were fragments of steel that were throughout her body. There were gunshot wounds to her beak, her face, her neck, as well as her abdomen. And obviously she went through weeks of care, but she ended up dying from complications because of the nature of her injury. She did pass away in her sleep. But I don't understand the fascination with and 2 types of ammunition, which tells me there had to be 2 types of guns, most likely, around, right?
Yeah, again, I'm not a firearms expert, but I don't think all guns use the same ammunition.
No, I'm pretty sure that's not the case. But
and if you're an outdoorsman, if you're a hunter, you should know that under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, which I just learned about yesterday, American white pelicans are a federally protected species. So again, you're not hunting these.
Right.
Who are you? What kind of human being are you? I don't know. But they're still investigating. The DNR is looking into it. Sad story for Gitchie, the white pelican. But just take a minute and think before you leave the house. And if you're the kind of person who lacks empathy, stay in the house. Just don't go out. We don't need you.
Stay away from the rest of us.
Yeah, if you're that damaged, if you're that horrible of an individual where you would just look at a bird and decide to shoot it, again, this is not against hunters. So slow your roll, hunters. This is not against you. You know who I'm talking about, and hunters probably feel the same way. We've got headlines next from the Persian Gulf and around here, so we'll get to that and so much more. And then later this hour, or next hour, we'll be breaking down the election. But we now say goodbye to WMDX.
We do. Stephanie Miller is coming your way. If you're going to stay here on WMDX, join us across the rest of the network. It is 7:59. This is Daybreak on the Civic Media Network.
Wisconsin wakes up here. Back to Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
It's 8:06 right now. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We always appreciate it. You are listening to the Civic Media Network. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. Third hour of the show. We're going to talk about the ceasefire deal. We're going to talk about yesterday's elections. And then we'll talk about friction maxing. So that's all coming up this hour. 2 of those things you may understand. One, who knows, you might not have heard of it before. But now we will start with some headlines from the Persian Gulf and the Iran war, which is going on. Both President Trump and Iran have portrayed the last-minute ceasefire deal as a victory for their nations. The ceasefire pauses a spiraling conflict that has upended the global economy and sparked a historic oil crisis.
In other headlines, Iran's military will coordinate a passage of vessels through the critical Strait of Hormuz during the ceasefire. That's according to Iran's foreign minister. Trump said reopening the strait was a key condition of the ceasefire deal.
But again, there will be tolls now. Pakistan's prime minister has invited delegations from both Iran and the U.S. to Islamabad for talks on Friday. Earlier yesterday, Pakistan proposed the two-week ceasefire to allow for diplomacy. But as we heard last hour, this news coming out not too long ago, that the White House has not confirmed that they will be sending anybody to the talks, which is, again, feel free to correct me. Hard to have peace negotiations when you don't send anybody to the negotiating table, right?
I was going to say, it turns out you need more than one country or party in it to actually negotiate. I mean, that seems like a typical GOP tactic, though, doesn't it? Where we just aren't going to negotiate, even though we say that everybody else is to blame for no negotiations, but we're just not going to show up to the conversation.
And weren't we actually in negotiations when we started bombing Iran in the first place?
As far as I knew, yes, that's what we'd been told.
Well, that's what we've been told. Yes. Okay. So I'm not making this up. I'm not living in some sort of multiverse.
Yes, you are, because that's what the current times show. But no, in reality, we had been told that there had been peace talks happening between Iran, Israel, and the United States. So. We've been told a lot of things, especially in the last month, and none of it seems to have any rhyme or reason, literally, for anything that we've been told, including whatever happened yesterday.
Well, and they want to think that our memories are short, and unfortunately for them, because well, we all have memories, and we also have the internet. Everything is there.
Everything
we got
lives
receipts.
in infamy. Everything lives in infamy in 2026. And it's kind of like this administration forgets that there are so many receipts that you can actually go get. But, far be it from me to discourage them. In other headlines, the Israeli military today said that it will continue its intensified ground operations against Hezbollah in Lebanon. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office claimed Lebanon was not part of the ceasefire, despite Pakistan's Prime Minister saying that it is. So what it really seems like is this ceasefire might not actually be much of a ceasefire at all? Question mark?
No. And it's Wednesday. We'll see what happens Friday on these talks. We'll see what happens today. We'll see if there's more threats to blow up entire civilizations. But that's the Persian Gulf. There has to be other stuff we need to know.
It's a wake-up call in more ways than one. Time for some you need to know.
Oh, well, it was time for that. We were talking about this yesterday, that the meeting was going to be held. Well, the meeting has been held. The Universities of Wisconsin Board of Regents voted unanimously to fire President Jay Rothman after about 4 years in the role. Rothman refused to resign, saying regents never clearly explained why they wanted him out. Yes, that's why we're fascinated by this, because there's really, we don't know. Regents say they had concern about leadership and direction, but haven't shared specific details publicly. They're getting their walking orders like the administration. Don't give any specifics. Rothman says his performance review was mostly positive and that the decision felt already made. Republican lawmakers are calling the move political and accusing the board of acting out of partisanship. Some Republicans are now threatening to block or remove regents who supported the decision. Rothman had worked with both Republicans and Democrats, including negotiating funding deals and handling controversial issues like campus protests and DEI policies. Now, the university system has been dealing with bigger challenges, including declining enrollment and the closure of some branch campuses. It also comes as UW-Madison is losing its chancellor, adding more leadership uncertainty. Rothman's contract allowed him to be fired without a specific reason and without an appeal process. That's a bad contract.
I was going to say that's a bad contract to sign if that's what you did.
Your attorney led you astray, brother. That was a bad move. But there's got to be something, right? What's going on?
Well, and that's just it. Are we ever going to find out what was actually behind this? And I love that the Republicans have gotten involved in this. As far as I understand, Board of Regents are usually bipartisan, non-political, because they want what's best for an education system. So the fact now that you're just calling it some sort of bipartisan effort is fascinating to me. But I feel like there's more and there's a bigger shoe to drop. I don't think we'll probably ever know what that bigger shoe is, but there's a lot of uncertainty around the UW system right now. And I think that's a little bit of a wake-up call, especially if you're a student, you're looking at potentially going there for higher education. I also think when we have as many funding issues as we have from the federal government, and there's so many of those programs that are tied into that funding all around the state, I don't know if you really want to see the dude who's been running it just all of a sudden be let go for no explanation, right?
Now, Parker, you are an alum of the UW system. You're probably getting to the point where they're going to start sending you solicitations for money so you can give to the system. How do you feel about this story?
I mean, I don't know. I never really knew much about Jay Rothman. I kind of just knew about him capitulating a little bit with the budget last year.
Okay. You knew about Jay Peterman, though.
Oh, I know Jay Peterman.
Okay, but not Jay Rothman.
Jay Rothman, no, not too much.
All right. Well, thank you. You always add a substantial issue to the conversation. We appreciate that very much. So,
anytime.
What other S do we need to know, Jamie?
In other stories, and this is some good news, American journalist Shelley Kittelson has been freed after militants from an Iranian-backed group kidnapped her in Iraq. It was part of Hezbollah just 1 week ago, according to two Iraqi government sources and a source familiar with that situation. Now, Hezbollah had Kittelson's name on a list of American journalists to target for kidnapping, at least according to multiple sources. She was abducted abducted in Baghdad last Tuesday. That was on March 31st, if you're keeping track. A spokesperson for the Hezbollah militia said in an earlier post on the group's Telegram messaging app channel that Kittelson was being released on the condition that she leave Iraq immediately. Her whereabouts were not immediately clear. Two militia officials told the Associated Press that in exchange for Kittelson's release, Iraqi authorities would free several detained members of the group. Now, Kittelson was contacted multiple times with warnings or threats against her, including as recently as the night before she was abducted, at least according to a U.S. official. Wow. Now, it's also important to note that she does have some Wisconsin ties. Yes. Her mother still lives in the state of Wisconsin, so I'm sure for her community, this is probably some very good news to hear. But
sure.
Here's the thing. I've got a couple of questions with this.
Yes.
I think it's fascinating being a reporter, having contacts within groups like Hezbollah. If you don't think that what reporters do is important, you would be wrong, because we are literally talking about Hezbollah contacting members of the Associated Press to give a story, right? So if you're skeptical about what reporters' work can actually look like, look no further than that, because not a lot of us have that in our old Rolodex, right? And the other thing about this is the rhetoric around reporters has been so inflamed. And I'm so glad that she is safe as far as we know. I'm glad that there wasn't more danger to her or immediately. But at the same time, how long is this list? How long is this list of journalists that they have that they're going to be targeting? Because we know that this conflict is not ending soon, right. And I think that should be frightening to all of us.
Well, and I kind of get the bravado of, you want to stay there, you want to do this. But she's a young woman who looked like she was traveling by herself. Mm-hmm. And at some point, you have to heed the warnings that say, listen, you're being targeted. So you either have to hire some sort of security force, or you got to go. Yeah. And not that I'm very happy she got released and nothing happened to her. We don't always see that kind of result. And you have to weigh, is the story worth it? And I understand the dedication of a journalist, but then you need to do everything you can to try to protect yourself, because they got her right on the street corner and she was by herself when they kidnapped her. There's video of her being abducted. So you got to be a little more responsible for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think it's fascinating, and for the disrespect as well that this administration gives the First Amendment and reporters. They're doing some heavy work. They're doing some heavy lifting out there, and they are the reason why we have comments from Hezbollah, right? Because, again, that's not something that most of us can say or maybe ever want to say. But this particular reporter was able to get a comment and then, of course, find out more about the release of Kittelson. So I do find it fascinating, and there's a lot, I think, wrapped up into that, especially about what this administration thinks about the First Amendment and how they treat reporters.
Yeah. Well, if you're expecting this administration to take care of reporters,
no, I don't expect that. New. I think it's just a sad state of affairs.
It's everything's. How about a good state of affairs, Jamie? How about $7 Brewer tickets? We were talking about how expensive it is to go to a game. Well, the Brewers have heard your concerns. And so for a number of games through April and May and one in June, the Brewers are going to give you $7 tickets during a flash sale, but the flash sale only goes through today, so you've got to make sure you're getting your tickets now. They are for a couple games in April, the 15th, the 28th, and the 29th, then May 12th, 13th, 26th, and June 1st. So you get games against the Padres, the Diamondbacks, the Cardinals. That'd be a good one, Tuesday the 26th. $7 are for Loge outfield, Loge bleachers, and terrace level. You can upgrade those if you want. If you got that kind of money going for you, you got $17 burning a hole in your pocket.
Feel a little fancy.
Yeah, you could go to field outfield corner for $17. So that's not bad. But again, you got to go to Brewers tickets, look for the flash sale, and you got to do it before midnight tonight or until the tickets are sold out. So if you're looking for a game and you wanted to take a bunch of kids and you're like, oh, I don't have
Good times.
$7, man. Can't beat it. You can't get a Starbucks for $7.
You can't even do the dollar menus anymore for $7.
No. Happy Meal's what, $27.50?
It's crazy.
Can't
Not
do it.
so happy for mom and dad when they pay for it.
Yeah. So this is a really good deal, and it's one of those things that we always talk about how out of reach sometimes it is to take a family to a game. So the Brewers helping you out with a few games that way. When we come back, do you think this ceasefire is a real step toward peace, or are we just kicking the can down the road and after Friday it's all going to start up again? We will break down this ceasefire deal and talk about the war that one man wanted. We'll do all that after this. This is Daybreak. I'm Brian Noonan.
I'm Jamie Martinson. It is 8:19 right now, and you are listening to the Civic Media Network.
Now back to more of Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us on today. You are listening to the Civic Media Network. It is 8:22 right now. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning. I'm Brian Noonan. If you want to jump in and tell us what you think about this ceasefire, is it a real step toward peace or just a little kicking the can until we can start firing up the missiles again? We'd love to hear from you. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. That's the direct line to a good time, and being sure you're nice to Parker, because to get to us, you got to get through him. That's how that works. So, we about an hour and a half before the deadline where Trump had said we were going to basically wipe out an entire civilization. He tacoed, as he always does, and thank goodness, because I'll be honest, I thought the worst all day yesterday. My rational mind was like, no, he's going to back out of this again. This is just him being his usual ham-handed, idiotic, blustery self. But there was a little part of me that went, he's nuts. And he could decide unilaterally, which is how he makes all the decisions, without Congress, he's going to just do something horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the worry.
And I think that you're right. That was the scary part, because you didn't want to put too much hyperbole onto all of it. You didn't want to give in to the rhetoric, because you know that this person ends up multiple times and has, as a proven record in his presidential career, going back on things that he has said. And it does sometimes end up being bluster. But when you're literally talking about and posting about taking out an entire civilization, I think you have to take pause for a minute and say, is this actually something he's going to do? Or is this just more words coming from the president's fingers onto social media? We don't know. And that, I think, is the most frightening part about where we're at. We can't actually count on him to know what is rhetoric or what is going to be truth. That scares me more than anything. And his supporters will spin this as, look at how tough he was in the negotiation process. And let's break this down. Let's explain what exactly we know so far about this ceasefire, because I would challenge someone to defend what we have won from this. And if you think we have, you're welcome to tell us and share your opinion. I don't see it. I don't see the win on any level here. If you want to look back, we had a deal with Iran about their nuclear weapons. Obama had put it together. It was in place. They were adhering to it. We were told in the summer that we had completely obliterated all their potential for nuclear weapons. Then we were told they're making a nuclear weapon and they're 3 months away from having it, which goes against something that was obliterated, but why quibble over details? And now, so everything that comes out has that asterisk of it's coming from somebody who has lied to us multiple times. So once it was announced, Trump went on to say that, he posted on Truth Social, complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire.
Now, as he's declaring victory, of course, Iran is declaring victory, saying with their foreign minister saying that their military will cease their defensive operations if the U.S. halts its attacks. But the Strait of Hormuz, according to Iran, they said for a period of 2 weeks, safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be possible via coordination with Iran's armed forces and with due consideration of technical limitations. So that was the bluster coming out of both sides.
Yeah.
But what do we actually know, Jamie?
Well, Trump announced the ceasefire in a Truth Social post, saying that it was made on the condition that Iran agree to reopen the critical strait through which a fifth of the world's oil flows. So pretty important that we have this strait open, not only for the United States, but the rest of the country as well. Yes, Brian.
To clarify, wasn't it open before we bombed them?
Yes, it was open before. It was running just fine before. Yes.
All right,
and
thank you.
Nobody had to pay tolls either at that point.
That's interesting.
Just for a point of contention. So the ceasefire had been mediated by Pakistan's prime minister and their military chief. He said, according to him, now Iran had put forth a 10-point proposal, which the U.S. views as a workable basis on which to negotiate, according to the president. Now, in an interview with the AFP news agency yesterday, the president described the deal as total and complete victory. But he would not say whether he would fulfill his prior threats to destroy Iran's civilian infrastructure if Tehran reneged on this agreement, only saying, quote, "You're going to have to see," which means he actually has no plan and he has no idea.
He doesn't know.
In a later Truth Social post, just past midnight, he said the U.S. would be helping with the traffic buildup in the Strait of Hormuz. It is like the fast pass we talked about earlier.
It's like the people who line up outside of your kid's pickup at school with the orange vest. You, take her, come here. No. Oh, I said you're going the wrong way. Move that way.
Yes. And he added, quote, "Big money will be made," because it's always about the money for this president, right?
May I ask a question?
Not. Sure. Is it rhetorical or do you want an answer? Because I'm not sure I'll know, but we'll try.
It's probably both because I think I know the answer. But does he really believe that Iran is going to let him help with anything in the Strait of Hormuz?
Yes, I think he actually does.
Oh, he does? Okay.
I think that would be my guess. I think he actually thinks that he has a say in this.
He still thinks he has leverage.
I believe he does.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds like he does. If you listen to his rhetoric today, if you listen to some of what Pete Hegseth said today at the podium, along with Dan Kane, I believe they absolutely think they still have leverage in this.
Well, Iran is saying if the U.S. stops their attacks, Iran will hold back. They also will coordinate, but it's got to be with tolls. And there's a lot to talk about with this plan. We will continue talking about it as the days go on. But right now, we must take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about yesterday's elections here in Wisconsin on the Civic Media Network.
Local news, community stories, and the conversations that matter most. Now, more Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Welcome back to Daybreak. If you want to get involved in the program, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. I'm Brian Noonan.
I'm Jamie Martinson. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So, Brian, there was just a wee bit of things happening yesterday in the state. We had an election, and I know for a lot of people it felt like a quieter election just based on the numbers that we were seeing and the polling that we were seeing. But it turns out that there was a lot of action happening across the state last night. And joining us this morning to tell us about some of what we were seeing is Brittany Carlone. She is the state government and politics reporter at Wisconsin Watch. So good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Look at you. You're bright. You're sunshiny.
Yeah,
like it wasn't
very
even a late
upbeat.
night or anything.
Honestly, I'm a bit surprised as well.
It was a relatively, I think, quick night if you were watching the headlining act, we'll call it, with the Supreme Court race. So I think we should start right there. Obviously, Chris Taylor won, the liberal-leaning judge won that election last night. About 60% of the vote is what I saw come through. Was there anything that surprised you, Brittany, about that particular result or that race in general?
I think the conversation around the state in the last couple of months as we've gotten closer to this election has been, okay, the liberal justices in these past contests have been very successful, but so I think people were kind of going along that line, like this might be where this goes. But because this was such a quieter election, there was no court majority on the line, I think people were kind of cautiously going, we don't really know what's going to happen. And then look, pretty much 36 minutes after polls closed for the numbers to come out, and then to see how well Taylor performed in counties like Jefferson County, Ozaukee County, some of these like really.
There was a sharp shift as far as even the very rural counties. Even if they still voted for Lazar, they did not vote in the margins we had seen in especially 2024, correct?
Yeah, that's that. And I haven't had a chance to really dig into those numbers yet, and that's going to be a lot of my project today.
Fun.
But some of those initial county numbers, I think, really surprised a lot of people, and especially for Democrats and like liberal leaning folks last night that were hoping for a big Taylor win. They got what they wanted.
Yeah, it was a show for sure.
Brittany, there was a lot of talk, as you've been covering the campaign, that Maria Lazar kind of disappeared. We didn't see her making as many appearances. We didn't hear from her. It seemed to come after she aligned herself with Scalia. Do you think that played into the fact that she got defeated so soundly?
So I don't know if I necessarily saw that she disappeared. I do know that in this last week or so that she made her appearance on the WISN debate. She had a across the state like final days tour. I saw her at the Dane County Republican Party headquarters. But I think the big thing that might have been the issue in this case was just the gigantic fundraising advantage that Chris Taylor had over Lazar. I mean, if you even look at the contributions that the state political parties provided, the amount of money that the Wisconsin Democrats gave to Chris Taylor, and then the amount of money, I think it was maybe like $65,000, the last report that I looked at, that the state Republican Party gave to Lazar, when it might be a disappearing act when you just don't have the money to get your name out there.
Yeah.
It could be too, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this race is going to expand the liberal majority from 4-3 to 5-2. In your work, what does that actually mean in terms for Wisconsin and this panel of judges?
Yeah, I mean, there was a portion of when I was growing up when the conservative court majority was a big factor in state government, and I think this is the 5-2 majority. I believe the state will have going into 2030, and it'll continue to be a factor in major politically charged cases, including as we head toward like 2030, we'll have a new census, there'll be new congressional redistricting. There are even challenges in court right now at this point when it comes to the state's congressional maps, and there are big cases that the court could see coming forward, like collective bargaining rights challenges related to Act 10 that are still making their way through the court system. When you have a 5-2 liberal majority, that is a big factor in state government. And then when we think about later this year, the battles in the for power in the legislature and who will take control of the governor's office, when we think about the last 8 years with a divided state government and how the court, especially following the 2023 shift in the majority where liberals actually got control, they really became a factor in these last couple of years in major decisions.
We're talking with Brittany Carlone. She is the state government and politics reporter at Wisconsin Watch. We're talking about the shift in the majority on the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court, now a 5-2 majority with the win of Chris Taylor last night. So liberals in this state have won several of these races in a row. You mentioned that as well. What does that say about where Wisconsin voters are right now? Are we are the GOP, are they, and the more conservative branch, are they giving up on these Supreme Court races and investing their money elsewhere? Because we saw a lot of money go into the local fronts. What are you getting as you talk with people?
That's a great question. I did see a lot of social media chatter last night about what does this mean for the future of the Republican Party? Who would be the next conservative justice, or the conservative? Well, who could be the next conservative justice, or who would even want to put their name into these kinds of races when put their name into these kinds of races when there's just so little bit of a chance for success based on what these kind of performances have been. I think I also had an interesting conversation these last couple of days where people were asking, why didn't Republicans invest more money? And it's also a question of, does that mean that they might be trying to save their resources for the elections later this year? So it's a great question.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Brittany. So there's been a lot of talk about property taxes in the state. So there are a lot of referendums. What did you see as far as these referendums? Because it's we got to worry about property taxes, but we got to have these referendum for the schools. So how did it look?
I'm having a little trouble hearing him.
A little trouble. Okay.
I heard property taxes. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, so I was asking about the referendums because that's been the big issue: referendums, property taxes, and the funding of schools. So how did things shake out last night?
So this is another one of my projects to look into today, but I haven't quite seen what the pass-fail rate was for the 72 school districts that went to referendum overall. I did see, I believe Whitefish Bay had a gigantic. I believe capital referendum, which is getting debt for construction projects. I think we were talking about Dodgeville before we went on the air here, and they had an operating referendum, which it looks like failed for the second time in these last 2 years. So I haven't had a chance to look at the full pass-fail rate across the state, but it really is a lot of these districts that went to referendum at this time were really coming in at a difficult moment where people are really feeling the pain of costs going up, their property taxes rising, and then school districts, especially school district leaders that I spoke to ahead of the election, were just saying school funding rising with inflation over these last several years has just not risen at the same level. So districts say they need more money.
Yeah.
They're just also struggling with costs. So it'll be really interesting to see going forward, what districts have to do to cut costs to deal with the fact that these referendums have or have not passed. And then as well, the state's still negotiating over that $2.5 billion surplus. And what factors into those negotiations going forward too?
I was just going to say, since you spend time, and we're talking with Brittany Carlone, she's the state government and politics reporter at Wisconsin Watch, since I'm assuming you spend a good portion of your time over at the Capitol, and you probably hear some of these conversations. Do you think this gives the GOP, with the fact that some of these school districts are going to have to look at closing facilities or either consolidate with other school districts, do you think it gives the Republicans and the Democrats more of a negotiating table? Do you think it brings them to the table, or are they just going to stay out and say, whatever happens, the election's coming, we'll let the chips fall?
I could see this go both ways, potentially. I know Republicans have really been leaning into the impacts of what they say Governor Evers' 400-year veto when it comes to raising revenue limits for school districts. That's been a big talking point, even I think for Tom Tiffany's campaign for the governor's office later this year. So I don't necessarily think that they want to let go of something that could really, they believe, could help Republicans later this year. But also, I know Democrats, especially ahead of the election here, were really pointing out, hey, Republicans haven't funded schools to the level that they should have, which is why we're seeing all these referendums. And so it really could go either way. I think Governor Evers definitely wants to see more funding for schools, but I wonder if that helps anybody at this point going forward after yesterday.
So for a lot of these school districts, these weren't really new projects. And as you mentioned, Dodgeville, for instance, this was a referendum they'd already had on the ballot once. It failed for the second time. And for a lot of these school districts, it's really just to keep their schools running. Are voters understanding that, or are you getting the sense that it really does? And I get it. I totally get it. Is it coming down to the dollars and cents of what they're able to afford with their own property taxes?
When ahead of the election, I think I spoke with the superintendents in Appleton and Wisconsin Rapids, and they both had operational referendums as well. And so it's less of the let's build new school districts and more of we need additional resources to provide things for our students going forward. And I think they really struggle with just making sure they get as much information out there about, hey, you may be seeing these things about property taxes, but this is what it helps with your students.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And with these referendums that failed across the state, what is that actually going to look like for the families when you talk to the school districts? What ends up getting cut for some of those school districts?
I think from my understanding, going with the districts that I've spoken to so far, they hopefully will look at those additional administrative costs, like where can they slice things that are less likely to impact students in the classroom. But when you have districts that have failed 2 years in a row, like Dodgeville, they may need to have some really difficult conversations with the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have about a minute left, and with about 200 days until the midterms, just over 200 days, because elections in this state never stop.
No.
What would you recommend our listeners and our online viewers be watching and paying attention to as we head into what is going to be yet another election cycle?
Oh, yeah. Later today, I'm going to a gubernatorial Democratic candidate forum. So that's going to be the big thing going forward. But definitely try to stay engaged with what's happening in your local races, because we're also going to see not only local probably elections later this year, but also there's going to be a lot of power struggles over who's going to control the legislature. So find a local news source that you love and trust.
Oh, there's one. It's called Wisconsin Watch. We'd love to have people go check it out. Thank you so much. Brittany Carlone, state government and politics reporter at Wisconsin Watch. Big night across the state of Wisconsin yesterday, and we'll hear more, I'm sure, about these referendums and these school districts soon. It's 8:48 right now. I am Jamie Martinson. This is Daybreak.
And I'm Brian Noonan. This is the Civic Media Network.
Now back to more of Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Civic Media Network. It is 8:52. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning. I'm Brian Noonan. Yesterday, if you were with us, and if you weren't, shame on you, really. We're here every day. But you can catch up. You can always catch up. Go to civicmedia.us. Listen to all the podcasts. It's like binge watching your favorite show, but it's binge listening your favorite show. So you can go and binge listen to everything we've done before so you don't feel left out. But we talked about how passive activities like watching TV can lead to higher rates of dementia. Well, I don't know if my computer was listening, because then I found a story about friction maxing. And no, Parker, I know you think that's when the Mormons try to skirt around their premarital sex issues. It's not. It's not friction maxing. That's not it. So stop sending me pictures. Is this friction maxing? No, that's not it at all.
Wow. Did not think that's where we were going.
Of course not. That's the beauty of me.
Keeping you on your
I'm
toes.
always impressed by you, Brian.
But friction maxing is a thing. So here's the thing. When you're because we have everything doing stuff for us. We have spell check. We can look up a name right away without having to think about it. If we think we know something, instead of puzzling over it, we just look it up. Well, we kind of lose something in our brains. So now we have to have friction maxing, which, according to a expert in she was reintroducing challenges. She's an expert in neuroscience. So in an article in January, she says, you need to reintroduce challenges into your life. Jamie, I know your life is way too easy. You don't have a lot going on. You don't have a lot of things that keep your mind occupied. But they're saying that cooking dinner instead of ordering on Uber Eats can help reorient people to discomfort and make us more human. So we need to be a little less comfortable. We need to max our friction so that we can engage our brain.
Who is this woman?
Well, again, I sometimes just report the things. I don't endorse them because you and I could agree that easy days would be nice. We would like some
love
easy
an easy
days.
day. And she's trying to take away my Uber Eats on those non-easy days.
Well,
so.
According to experts, a frictionless life may not be the best for your cognitive function, Jamie. So you need to keep that friction.
I am telling you, when I have to use my app to Uber Eats, I am using cognitive function to make sure that I don't screw it up. I can argue that point. I'll argue that point.
All right, fair enough. We'll get somebody in here. Because as you know, the brain's number one job is to help you survive. So throughout our daily routines, according to these folks, the brain conducts cost-benefit analysis to determine whether a choice is worthwhile. Mine is out to lunch. My brain does not have a business degree. It does not understand cost-benefit analysis.
Who is thinking like this on a daily basis? Do people actually have time to sit down and think like this?
Yes, researchers. Researchers
Oh.
do this. That's what research is
Touch
for.
some
That's why you
grass.
get these grants. And you go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come up with my brain having a cost research analysis.
I'm not smart enough to do this stuff.
Well, that's why we're not researchers. But
I guess
according
if I
to
was
them,
using
the
my
brain,
cognitive function, I would be.
well, you know this, the brain responds to rewards, dopamine hits that come from instant
Yes.
gratification. You ever had one of those?
Oh gosh, yes. Anytime
Sure.
somebody hands me a piece of chocolate, totally,
go.
totally in. There we go.
All right, so you get that part we both get. So over time, frictionless living could be detrimental, according to brain health researcher Mark Milstein, who you may have heard of. I never have. But he's a brain health researcher. He said, taking on friction-filled challenges, such as learning new things, is like investing in a financial account as you age. Research on cognitive reserve theory shows these things cause the brain to form new connections, which increase overall reserve. Parker, it's not too late for you. I'm a lost cause. My brain IRA is depleted, so
I'm
we
done.
can't. Yeah, we can't.
I got nothing left.
But
I'll see if
Jamie,
I can carry the weight here for the
Okay,
three of
please
us.
do. Please
Yeah.
do.
I-
Because
I trust
man.
that Frank can carry himself.
Kenny?
I hope.
we'll have to
All
see.
right. Well, I
But
guess jury's out.
I have good news for both of us, Jamie.
Okay.
Because even if our frictionless pathways in the brain are well worn, we can take a few simple steps to override them. You could play a puzzle or a game that you're not good at.
I hate
You could
games.
learn something new, like friction maxing. We've
There we
learned
go.
something new today. So
That's
our
right.
brain is. You could use a recipe to make it. You made Juicy Lucy's the other day.
I
So
did.
you're
I didn't use a recipe, but I
you
did
used
cook.
a recipe.
There
So
we go.
you're doing all the things. Maybe you see a friend in person. I'm
I
out
can't
on
just
that one.
text them?
No,
would
you got to
rather
see him
text
and
them.
have a conversation and look him in
I
the
always
eyes.
go for text.
Yeah,
Always go
it's
for
getting
text.
hard now.
Yep.
Now it's getting hard.
What about not looking up an answer, making
How
yourself
am I
actually?
gonna know how am I
Well-
going to know anything?
Well, if you know it, if you think you know it, instead of looking it up, try to figure it out first. And
Well,
then once you realize that your brain is mush, then look it up.
Well, I was just going to say, I usually do think I know the answer, but I need to look it up to make sure that I'm not wrong because I don't want to be wrong either and give somebody wrong information.
See, that's where we differ. I usually figure I don't know the answer and I'll look it up. Or I'll make it up without doing a whole lot of thought because then I'm off the hook because people go, really? I go, yep. And then I walk away and the conversation's over. And when they finally figure it out, they go, wow, he was wildly inaccurate.
See, that seems like much better use of the brain to me than playing a game or anything else. Like, doing those types of things with other people, especially if they're other people that I have to now see in person to stimulate my brain and keep it cognitive healthy.
There's a lot of people putting a lot of stock in this get your brain right. But, get your brain fit. A lot of people, we got to motivate your brain. You got to keep your brain sharp. I don't know. You get to a certain point in your life, if you just want to sit there and veg.
It's just easier to drool in your cup. Really.
That's why God made sleeves, Jamie.
Nobody expects anything from you when you get to that
Right.
point. There's other people who want to make decisions for you, and life just becomes so much easier.
Well, look, that's what Parker makes decisions for us every time he starts that music to tell us to shut up.
That's right.
I'm like, okay. So that's it. Yeah, we're done. We'll be back tomorrow.
We made
It's
it.
Thursday.
Is it Thursday?
Tomorrow will be
Tomorrow's
Thursday.
All right.
Today's-
All right. I'm
Tomorrow's
confused.
Thursday. I said we'll be back tomorrow. It's Thursday.
I know. I just didn't know what day it was today. So
Today's
that tells
Wednesday.
you everything you need to know. But we made it through another day. It's 8:59. This is Daybreak. I'm Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan.